Morning everyone, I'm Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of Ask a Painter Live, a weekly show on Facebook where you send in all your questions, painting, restoration, wallpaper, furniture finishing, any color consultations, anything you like, and I use my 2 decades as a craftsman to answer all your questions. So I got my young farm team of apprentices here with me today. Baby, here you go. Okay guys, here we go. Sorry, we got the young ones messing with the camera here, but today we're going to be talking about, I got a question about bathroom painting, I got a question about priming for color change, and I also had a question about finishing gun stocks, things like that. So we're going to go over a couple of those this morning. So number one, I need some more topic ideas from you guys, pros and homeowners alike. If you got something you want me to expound upon, do somewhere between 10 and 20 minute treatise on whatever topic you like. I will research it for you and I'll present it here if I don't, if I'm not up to speed on it. Also, send any of your questions. The purpose of this program is for me to go off the cuff, answer any of the questions that are just burning a hole in your brain that you got to get out. So ask any questions you want during this live feed. You can send any of them to me, Facebook Messenger, or just hashtag any of your questions on Facebook, Ask a Painter, hashtag Ask a Painter, and I will get to those for you. If I use your question during one of these feeds, I will send you one of my handmade mugs. And speaking of handmade mugs, I got this beauty sent to me from Kevin Kalmus. He is the owner of Legacy Painting in Edmond, Oklahoma. And look at this beautiful man right here. So this was unprovoked. He just sent me a mug, you know, for doing this Ask a Painter thing, and I do appreciate it. And for that, Kevin, I'm going to send you one of mine. So just let me know when you get it. And yeah, I do appreciate the mug. It does its purpose. Kevin also sent me a very nice thank you card here, which my young apprentice Milosh will hold up here. So thanks for the kind words, Kevin. I know you're doing the Lord's work down there in Oklahoma for the PDCA, and keep up the good work. So, okay, first question. Sue Welcome, a good friend of mine here from New Prague. She had sent me a message asking, she's going to do a big color change in her house. She has a deep red, a burgundy right now, and she's changing it to a lighter gray. Two thoughts about this. Everybody always asks me, are you going to prime when you do that stuff? To me, I only prime when there's an adhesion issue. Primer is specifically for something like that. Excuse me. With today's paints, if you use a very high-end interior paint, almost all of them will cover in 2 coats almost every color. The only exception I've had with that is when you go very dark to very light. So when you go from a deep burgundy, a black, and you want to go white or off-white, sometimes I will use a primer to do that. All right, buddy. Remember what I told you? Hang out, okay? Okay, so in a case like that, when there is a very dark color and somebody wants to have the sort of, you know, Norwegian, Nordic look where it's a very stark off-white or white or something like that, most of the time, like a Benjamin Moore Aura, Sherwin-Williams Duration, Valspar, Optimus, or Aspire will cover those in two coats. But when they're not, the only time I use a primer and color change is because some of these paints, like Benjamin Moore Aura, are approaching 70 or 75 bucks a gallon, and primer, you know, I can get for 18. And there's 2 primers that I use, especially when I want dark colors. So there is deep color primers from Zinsser, and there's deep color primers from Ace Hardware, and they're both very good. You can put about 10 ounces of color in each one of those, and I can tint those very, very dark. So all right, so that they go on very, very smooth. Another instance when I use primer in a color change, the only other one is all right guys, easy now.
I can't say so.
The only other time I do a primer during color change is when I'm doing a dark enamel, maybe on a front door or woodwork, and we're going very dark, maybe even black. I will use one of those primers because it covers so well, and you can sand them, and they will create a new, a nice little base for the next color. So I'm going to deal with my young apprentices here. All right, guys, here, go help your mama.
No, we want to stay.
No, come on, guys, you're being evicted. Come on.
No, we want to stay.
All right. Come on, sister.
I want to be a
Come
little
on.
apprentice.
Okay. So, those are the times when I use the primers like that. So if not, if you do need, if there's an adhesion issue, if there's something else bothering you, if there's some old cooking grease on the wall, if there's stuff in a bathroom, that's a time when you can maybe use a primer after you wash it like that. So,
Hey, I want to be the actor painter.
oh, buddy, come on, run along now, okay?
No.
No, come on, guys. Okay, so for Sue, if you get a very high-end paint, should be no problem. Get a very high-quality roller, and then yeah, it should cover in 2 coats. Like I said, the only exceptions are very dark colors to very light colors. Okay, Christian Militello, a professional painter from Pennsylvania, owner of Militello Painting and Power Washing, sent me a question about painting bathrooms and surfactant leaching and things like that. A couple thoughts off the top of my head about bathrooms is, surprisingly, this is one of the topics I get the most questions about for Ask a Painter. People always say, well, what do I need to do to paint a bathroom? Or I have, water marks sagging on the walls and things like that. And number one, everything besides paint has much more to do with the painting of a bathroom. You're in a room that's usually the smallest in the house. There's a lot of moisture, there's a lot of humidity, and for most families, large families, you have a extended period of that during the day. So I have never been in a bathroom where a fan was overpowered for the size of the bathroom. So all those exhaust fans are almost always underpowered. They will never get rid of the humidity and the heat and the water in the air as fast as you'd like them to. The only way, the only difference between, well, people ask about bathrooms all the time is because there's a lot of water marks on the walls, they have humidity damage, sometimes the paint peels for moisture issues, there's mold, there's mildew. It has everything to do with stuff outside of painting. The painting is the same exact, all right guys, hold on.
No.
No, run along, come on, run along now. Go on, baby. Go on. It has everything. All right, I'm going to stop this. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, everyone, sorry for the interruption. My young apprentices were getting a little out of hand here, shaking the truck. So, we're talking about bathrooms. Paint failure in a bathroom has everything to do besides paint. There's moisture in there, there's water, there's a lot of activity. There is no difference how you should paint a bathroom than a bedroom. The only reason people ask about bathrooms all the time is because of the moisture issue. Number one, the best way to get a good paint job in a bathroom is to get rid of the moisture. Have a ceiling fan, have a box fan, some way to evacuate that stuff after there's a shower, bath, something like that, especially when you have multiple family members coming through using that for an extended period of time. So, number one, get that hot, moist air out of there as quick as possible. In an old house like mine, 1917, 1918 Craftsman, we have plaster walls, and they conduct a lot of that cool air, a lot of the cool temperatures from outside. So sometimes you get a little more condensation than a properly insulated drywall house. So if you have an old house like this, sometimes the insulation is lacking a little bit. You're going to get a little bit more moisture. Now, there are a couple ways you can combat moisture issues in bathrooms. Number one, make sure there is a complete watertight membrane all over your bathroom walls. So seal up all the cracks, putty everything well, get a nice shiny paint all over the walls. Don't go excessive. You don't need to do semi-gloss or gloss. Get a super high quality satin, one of the highest end paints. The durability will be better. You'll be able to wash it. It'll also resist a lot of those moisture stainings and sags from moisture on the walls too. So, an experiment I did last year in my house was, no talking about, okay? An experiment I did last year in my house was using Benjamin Moore Aura Spa and Bath paint in there. And the benefit of a paint like that is that it's much flatter in shine, so you don't see a lot of the flaws in like plaster and things like that. But you also, it's a lot more moisture resistance in that regard too. So since using that in my bathroom, we have a family of 6, and it's our only bathroom that we use. No moisture issues, no plaster cracking, no defects as far as that goes, and it's fairly washable. So there are some specific products like that that will help you out in the bathroom. Now, most of the time, a bathroom paint is just going to be a shinier version of whatever it is, but that should combat most of those issues. Okay, so I know I addressed the bathroom paint stuff I think once before in an Ask a Painter, but it is one of the most popular questions I get. Just like everything else, use a super high quality paint, and you know, put it on with a very high quality roller, high quality brush, and then yeah, you'll be just fine. Yes, buddy. What can I help you with? No, go in the house, bud. Okay.
No.
Love you, dude.
Not going to the house.
Okay, so last topic for. All right, hold on, Bubba. Go on. All right, so last topic for today: refinishing weapons. The wood stocks, the handholds, the butts on weapons here. I will show you a project I did a couple years ago. This is my 870, which I bought used a bunch of years ago. This is the first shotgun that I owned, and you know, it was in okay shape. It's in fairly new condition for being old, but it just sort of had that kind of crappy lacquer from the factory there. No real luster to it, anything like that. So it's a very simple process. This was actually in pretty good shape. So what I did was I took lacquer thinner and steel wool, and I actually stripped them all by hand, just rubbing, you know, real lightly with the lacquer thinner to get all the finish off. And if you rub real lightly too, you can actually get most of the old stain off too. Now a little bit was left in this stock here. I assume this is maple or the like, and it came out pretty easily, but there was still a little bit left there, and it was kind of a dull. They tried to simulate walnut. Walnut is a very, you know, high quality hardwood. A lot of people use it in weapon stocks and things like that, and they try to simulate that look. Now that's fine. This isn't walnut. I usually don't like to fake stuff. I like the little more chestnutty sort of color, something a little bit warmer. So what I did was use a kind of warmer yellowish brown gel stain, and I sort of, you know, laid on multiple coats of that with a rag. And these are real small projects. And guys always ask me, you know, what's a good spray finish for this? Because guys think it's going to be quicker. But when you have such a small project like this, honestly, it takes you less time to do that. Just to wipe stuff on. So I use a good gel stain, get a good color. Once the color's good, I let it dry overnight, and then I will proceed to use my Magic Minwax antique oil, which I talked about the last Ask a Painter for my dining room table. It is one of the hardest polyurethane oil varnish finishes I can use. It's very cheap. It's available everywhere. I get mine from my local Ace Hardware here. And it's basically a wipe on. The instructions, the technical data sheet, say that you should wipe it on, let it rest for a couple minutes. Whatever doesn't soak in, you wipe off. That's fine. I've done that way, but it takes many coats to build a good finish. What I normally do is wipe on an even coat, not a heavy coat, just an even coat, and then I just let it dry overnight. This is a long oil, which means it takes a long time to dry. So I give it at least overnight, and then I come back the next day with steel wool. I think it's 4/0 or maybe 5/0. It's almost like the texture of human hair. It's just very fine. It doesn't even feel like steel, and just sort of burnish in a circle the stocks the next day. And I'll do 3 coats of this stuff. Now, guys always ask me too, you know, I want something tough, I want something thick, I want to be able to last forever. Well, the best thing you can do is, like, I took this gun completely apart, and it was down to the wood, and I completely covered all the things. I took the rubber butt off here. I disconnected it from the weapon. I sealed up every side of this thing. Same thing with the front grip there too. I took it all apart. I finished inside, underneath, all around. And you know, especially on those days where you're duck hunting or you're pheasant hunting, could be raining, could be snowing, things like that. That will be a very good thing for your weapon. Have all that stuff sealed. If you just do the outsides, all it is going to look good. It's going to get moisture underneath and around, and it's going to pull the finish off of that. So I do about 3 coats of the antique oil, and then what I do, because I love the feel of it, I burnish it with steel wool, and then I use tree wax, TREWAX. It's just a synthetic wax, and you don't have to do this. And most of the time it's not advised, but you know, like I said about my dining room table, I absolutely love the feel of that wax, and it actually gives you a pretty good grip too. It's nice and smooth, it's slick, but when you grab your weapon like that, it also does give you a pretty good grip, especially with gloves on and things like that. So so that's about it. You know, guys always ask me about spray finishes for that. I am not a believer in huge film forming finishes on weapons, because I believe they should be renewed. I believe they should be maintained just like the bluing on a barrel. The metal, it should be cleaned, it should be frequently oiled. There's nothing you can do to your barrel finish-wise or oil-wise that will last the rest of your life and be a maintenance-free finish. I'm a firm believer that because you're busting through the woods and the brush, and you're dragging it through the fields, your snow, rain, boats, this and that, it's gonna see wear and tear. So just know that I want a finish that's renewable and something that you can maintain and something that'll look good with not a lot of work. And once you seal up all the insides of those things, you don't necessarily have to take your whole weapon apart to get all those things again. You can simply clean it up, buff it, take some mineral spirits, clean off the wax, clean off the grime, things like that, and then apply another coat of Minwax antique oil by rag or by brush. 1 or 2 coats of yours will maintain it really nicely. So yeah, I'm gonna scroll through. If you guys have any specific questions about that stuff, I'd be happy to ask. Sorry about the two-parter here. You'll have to sort of piece them together. I will archive this in YouTube, and in that we will put those together here. So, oh, Dave Olson, I know that. Still cutting while listening. Sent packets per bathrooms. Legit product. No, that's definitely not. It's a temporary sort of thing. I know you got a big basement project going on right now, and yeah, you got a lot of work on your hands. Don't worry about the scent packets. It's more of a temporary thing. As soon as the paint dries and cures and the solvents in the vehicles and the paint evaporate, you're not going to get a lot of that smell left over. It's just like people always ask me for outsides of houses about insecticide. And they want, especially houses around lakes, I notice they have huge problems with spiders, on especially cedar-sided homes around the Midwest here. And spiders, they get webs all over the place, and they're a pain to get off. Pressure washers won't even take all of them off. A lot of times you have to just get an old paintbrush and get them off like that. They want me to use insecticide in that because they think it'll, keep that away, and in theory it will, except that it dissipates very quickly, and it smells horrible when you put it on. I'm sure there's some quality to it that's insecticidal, but it dissipates very quickly, and I can't imagine it would last very long. And these scent packets are the same thing. I wouldn't imagine that you're gonna see any lasting sort of thing from that. I think it's probably more a product for people who are afraid of the paint smell and want to mask it a little bit there. So, all right, well, if there are no more questions here, I want to thank all the vets for their service. Today is Veterans Day. I appreciate all that you men and women have done for our country, and especially in the last bunch of years, we've kind of been immersed in a whole bunch of wars, and everybody's kind of asked to do their deal. And especially with a volunteer service, we kind of have a very unique thing here in the United States. And I just want to thank everybody for all that they do. You can follow me, Instagram, Slavic Nick. Facebook, obviously, on here. If you like the live feeds, if you like to Ask a Painters, just click the share button. You can click the follow button as well and get immediate notifications whenever I go live. I am not in my painting clothes today because I am actually headed out to South Dakota with a couple family friends to stay with them, and we're going to do some pheasant hunting. And I haven't done it in about 15 or 16 years, so it'll be a lot of fun. So happy Veterans Day to everybody. Thanks for watching this, and yeah, ask all the questions you want. Send them to me during the week, and propose some topics for the upcoming next couple weeks. I have a few that I've been researching and working on, but certainly I would like a fresh perspective, because obviously they're going to be things that I'm interested in. I would like to know what you guys are interested in. So thanks again for watching this, guys. Have a good weekend, and happy Vets Day.